Oregon's had some great running backs, man. Some great running backs. And a lot of you are very confident in Jordan James. Why? Jordan James is a very good football player and could have a spectacular season. Could Jordan James do something that hasn't been seen since 2017? So, if you want to get it in the mailbag, you can become a Locked On Ducks insider for priority access. That link is in the description below. Or you drop a YouTube comment, hit me up on X, formerly known as Twitter, at @SMcLaughlinCFB or at Locked On Ducks. DMs and mentions always wide open. Even if you don't want to say something nice, you can say it anyway. You won't hurt my feelings, though some of you certainly try. Gavin sends in what we'll call an Oregon bold take here. Jordan James for 1,300 yards this year. Now, when I first saw that number, my reaction was, whoa, that's a low price. No, I'm kidding. If you understand that reference, let me know. But my first reaction was, whoa, that's a big number. 1,300 yards. I mean, oh gosh. In a crowded backfield, that's tough. Then you look at the numbers, and it's actually not the craziest suggestion whatsoever for two reasons. Number one, Jordan James, very talented player. He's going to have the heaviest workload of his career. And in an era of transfers and weird eligibility rules, Jordan James has followed like the most traditional career trajectory for a running back that you have in college football. For all you traditional college football fans out there, Jordan James is your guy. He comes in as a blue chip true freshman in 2022. He has a specific role, but nothing really more. You see glimpses, but it's just kind of, all right, he does the one thing. Then last year, he is thrust into a larger role. He was going to have a bigger role in the offense before Whittington went down. He shines in that role, and now he could go out and have an all-conference caliber season. So last year, Bucky Irving ran for just over 1,200 yards, 1,216 to be exact. The year prior, when you had three running backs in the backfield, Bucky Irving went for 1,088 yards. Now in 2021, Travis Dye, who had C.J. Verdell for a little while until Verdell got hurt, went for 1,284. So 16 yards shy of hitting the 1,300 mark. But the question that Gavin submitted, or the take that he submitted, was that he goes for 1,300 yards. C.J. Verdell in 2019, of course, nobody could achieve that many yards with Oregon's season in 2020 because they played half a year. C.J. Verdell had 1,238 yards. The last season that Oregon had a running back with over 1,300 yards, Royce Freeman back in 2017. That is Oregon's all-time leading rusher, by the way, if you did not know. With over 5,000 career rushing yards, he and LaMichael are both in the 5,000 club. But at first, I was kind of thinking, I don't know if James can get to that number. I still think it's tricky depending upon what role Jay Harris plays. The Northwest Missouri State transfer, he was a D2 All-American. Either him or Jaden Lamar, I can see having a role in this offense. I think Harris more as a smash-mouth goal line back, like Cyrus Abibi-Likio or Jordan James of 2 years ago. And Jaden Lamar could have kind of a Sean Dollars role from a couple seasons ago, Dan Lanning's first at the helm, when, Dollars came in certain packages, pass-catching situations, and was solid, but was not a feature part of the offense. I think that's what would hold him back, because James certainly looks like he's going to be the number one guy, and I'm as big a Noah Whittington fan as I know. Like, I'm supremely high. I think when Whittington was working his way back from the injury, there were several Oregon fans, I don't think it was a lot, but there were several who just kind of forgot about how good he was, and I was kind of going, you watch this guy, remember what he did? Remember how good this guy is at running back? I wouldn't be surprised if the backfield is more of a 1A, 1B rather than RB1 and RB2. But if Jordan James has that RB1 position, yeah, I do think he is talented enough with the way that he just runs through tackles. Bucky Irving had a lot of lateral movement, which Jordan James has some of, but he has, I think, greater speed in the open field to break long runs, but also a greater propensity to just run through tackles. Like Bucky Irving had a lot of stop and start, side to side movement, and he had some runs where you just went, wait, how is he still running? How is he still on his feet? I think for Jordan James, if he is the number one running back and he gets hot behind this offensive line and they're able to provide the same sorts of running lanes that they did a year ago, Yeah, I don't think a 1,300-yard season's out of the question. I mean, the last guy that was close, Travis Dye in 2021, I like Travis Dye. Do I think Dye is as talented as Jordan James? I think they're different. And I think James is every bit as talented as Travis Dye. Again, not as shifty with his lateral side-to-side movement, but certainly capable of being a feature back that pushes for that sort of number. I think the commitment to the run is going to be there, which is the other consideration you have to factor in when thinking about, is a running back going to hit 1,000 yards? Like Oregon's had 1,000-yard rusher basically always. That's just kind of a standard. It's a matter of who, not if. And I think Jordan James can be that guy, but maybe Noah Whittington is that guy. Maybe there are 2,000-yard rushers. Might depend on how each game kind of plays out with the script and how pass heavy they get. But a take that on the surface I thought was really bold. I looked at it and went, maybe not. Does Jordan James go for 1,300 yards this year? You tell me in the comments below. This question came from Aaron Turn 59594. With every wide receiver being a little bit different, according to Tez, in a lot of ways, like how every PGA golfer is a bit different, how would you compare the wide receivers to the pro golfers? Well, let's just hit the starters here. So, Trayshawn Holden is the biggest of the bunch. That makes him Bryson DeChambeau. He's kind of the thumper, Evan Stewart is the most well-rounded guy. Who has the most well-rounded golf game in the world? Scotty Scheffler. So Evan Stewart is Scotty Scheffler. And then Tez Johnson is a little bit smaller, but it's not about the size of the dog or the fight. It's about the size of the fight in the dog. And Tez Johnson has certainly got that. He is small, but he is mighty. You know who's not a big guy? I have stood close to him on a couple of occasions. Rory McIlroy is not a big guy. He's pretty small. So I love that question. I would love to compare every Oregon football player to a golfer here on the show, but I expect those to be Oregon's 3 leading wide receivers. In what order? Now we get into a really fun prediction season. The season's 10 days away, by the way. Tez or Evan Stewart? One of those guys is going to lead Oregon in receiving. But who leads them in receptions? Who leads them in yards? Who leads them in touchdowns? I could see a world where you have 3 different guys leading in each of those respective categories at the wide receiver position. I'm just saying I could see it. I'm not saying I'm predicting it. I'm saying it's feasible. Last year you had the receptions, yards, and touchdowns split 2-1 between Troy Franklin and Tez Johnson. Kind of a fun thought exercise. Explore in the comments below or hit me up on Twitter. So that team out west dropped a 3rd episode. As usual, magnificent stuff. Full reaction to that and one more mailbag question about Ohio State. That's coming up next.